So, Tebow, don't worry. We didn't miss on any bindings. We did have to have some loot council discussion before the raid to see what we were going to do with Baron's finding if it dropped, because Brunt already has it. And both you and Baron couldn't make it, so it's like, ugh. Who do we give it to? We did not have to invoke that decision. And it was a decision that we kind of made as a snap call because you guys have both been present for basically all the raids. Those decisions are hard. I would say they're not enjoyable decisions to make. But that's part of being a leader. Oh, I can turn off emote only mode so to speak. You tuned in for Baron as you were driving down to your party. It was a sigh of relief to see no loot. I mean, it would be good for somebody to have it. The tricky thing is, if we got a binding for someone who wasn't you two, then do they get the first scar binding to complete the item? Because that would be the fastest track to filling it out. I don't know. Dude, hecking loot. Speaking of which, there's fresh content. I wrote a loot psychology article. It's on the Neuro website now. Use the loot command and you can read that. It is one of the most difficult things in Classic. I was talking with Apop about it, about how the content does require attention and focus and learning the mechanics and playing your class and preparing and knowing the fights and all that, working with your team, standing in the right place. But god damn if loot is not the hardest thing in Classic WoW. That would make sense for sure. No loot for you. It is indeed a hecking 50 DKP minus. Okay, so you made more lings than me. Which means I'm starting this off with more workers. In the game of ZvZ, no one gets a third bus. But sire, can I have a third bus? Nope. No one gets a third bus. You may be doing the roach cheese. He's all in.
적이 겁도 없이 우리 기지를 공격한다. The new theory of time. 아군, 엉망의 전투를 시작했다. 아군이 도전을 시작했다. 광물이 부족하네.
What he's doing is sometimes called the Isaac build. And the Bear Me did this kind of thing pretty often. Basically, you do a Ling all in, and then you do a Roach all in after it. And yeah, it's a Ling Roach. Ling Roach all in play. Tis one of the best ZvZ cheeses.
광물이 모자라네. 광물이 더 필요하네. 이 저주받은 군란 또 다른 여왕이네. 광물이 모자라네. 아군 광물이 부족한 전투를 시작했네. 에너지가 더 필요하네. 대군 중
Overlords, please.
안타깝게도 불어리는 정복이 광물이 더 필요하네. 아군이 도전을 시작했네. 광물이 부족하네. 광물이 더 필요하네. 에너지가
I thought he had more Lings than this. What constitutes a cheese in your opinion? I will show you. I will show you. This. It's a flat line. The flat line. It's one gas. One gas roaches. A lot of people get confused whenever they see a third hatch and I say that it's a cheese. I will show you. I will show you now. ZvZ has a lot of 3-hatch cheese because a unit like the Zergling is very powerful for its mineral cost, but it's very expensive for its larva cost. And with Legacy of the Void, you get 6 supply for a hatch rate. So it's basically like an Overlord. So they're just making an Overlord and also more larva production. But there was no intention to drone. This is not a macro game, it's a cheese. But it has hatches. So you have to be able to discern what the game plan is. So 2 workers pulled off gas, and we've got 18 drones now. 18 drones after taking the 3rd base. I have 24. So I'm doing the standard macro opening here, where you drone up to 30, you take a 3rd base, and then you make an Overlord and a Bane Nest, and then you make a few more drones, and then you go for some Ling Bane just to be safe. This is the cheese version, where you basically don't use this for money at all. It's just this is your income right here, the main base. I've got about half saturation here. And I could tell based on there are Lings attacking this, and there were Lings that defended this at the same time. Which means I'm at least 2 drones ahead, if not more. And then with this Happy Buddy right here, we know that it's a huge cheese. You can't drone and Ling at the same time, you have to make a choice. That's one of the tough things about Zerg, is your production is the place where you get both workers and army. For both Protoss and Terran, their command centers, their nexus, those make workers, and then the production facilities make army. For Zerg, it's either one. So in ZvZ especially, you need to be able to tell, is my opponent using their larva to attack or to build an economy? So we got 25 workers now. I'm just asserting my Bane Nest a little bit, but not too much. I lost my 3rd base again, but I'm still ahead. Even though I lost a 3rd base, that cost my opponent a whole bunch of time and a whole bunch of minerals of Lings to attack that. And then now we have a crap ton of roaches. If you did some quick napkin math, get out a napkin right now. This 4 roach is the same gas cost as +1 range. So you got 4 roaches here, and then 4 roaches here, That's the same cost in gas for lair. So we've got +1 in lair worth of roaches already out. Normally, you would want to get this cooking up something nice, and then the hatchery morphing into a lair, so that you can move up the tech tree. You get your roach speed, you get an overseer's scout, you can move toward a second evo chamber for +2 range, +1 carapace. But here the intention is super obvious. This is a cheese. You've got 21 workers. So all I have to do is just mass units with a little bit more economy and defender's advantage. So I'm trying to retake my third. I see the roaches coming, so now I'm just gonna mass roaches and lings. I wanna look at this roach warren timing because I think if I didn't make this, I would have died. I think right around 4 minutes or so. 4:20. And I didn't make an evo here because I sensed cheese. And an evo would have meant that I would be spending 4 roaches of gas into something that would pay off later. But this is a low supply situation, and in low supply scenarios, upgrades are usually terrible. It's better to just have units and not die. Make sense? You could even call this a guide on how to identify a 3-head cheese in ZvZ. So it is. Sound the gong.